Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Conversations with a Recovering Loan Officer. And today I am joined by not one, but two guests from the same team. I had the pleasure of meeting Anthony at a NAM conference several months ago. And he is one of the, I'm not sure if you would say founding member of Vonk Digital, alongside his brother, Vinny, who was the original founder of Vonk Digital. And give me a little bit of background. What do you guys do and how do you help loan officers today?
So we provide a turnkey, but also very customizable website platform for loan officers, for branches, teams, independent mortgage banks, and covering the whole span. And the idea is it's really to make the whole process easy. With my background, owning and running a mortgage company in the past, we went through a couple of different stages of needs for websites. And, at first, when you first start, you don't need much. You just need to be on the internet, so to speak, so people can find you. So there's a lot of, really easy templated solutions for that. But as you grow, like in any business, just like the mortgage business, your needs change. So, you may want to have recruiting pages, or your team expands, or there's more, sophisticated tools you want. And at the time, at least for me, a lot of the, entry level solutions were very limiting. So we went out and built a custom website, spent a ton of money, money, frankly, we didn't really have for that at the time, to get this, more tailored solution, which also created a bunch of problems for us. But in that situation, it was more of like the education, trying to explain to a web agency, what a mortgage is, what needs to be on the site. And then ongoing too, a lot of custom agencies are more like build and move on, and you're kind of left holding the bag to support whatever they created for you. So really the company it's really designed to fit right in the middle. Like the upfront investment, very affordable, but you get like the power and the all the tools you would have from a customer enterprise level web platform: content, lead forms, integrations, social feeds, review feeds. So we really try to live right in the middle, where you can get that custom experience with the the templated onboarding, if you will. So quick to get into, and then you can kind of really grow over time. So
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, I know when I started my first brokerage in 07, 08, I was using another service, which I think is completely gone now. It's called like a la mode. You guys remember that?
yeah.
That thing was crazy. It was so antiquated, but it had so much flexibility on the backside. So you guys kind of let loan officers who maybe don't have the technical background or the time to commit to educating a marketing agency, or maybe the financial capacity to pay $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for a custom website. You give them something fairly quickly that is driven by what you guys understand about the mortgage process, but allows them to customize to some extent the experience as well. So talk to me about kind of like what that process looks like for you. If I'm a loan officer and I come to you and I say, let's say I'm opening up a new broker shop, what sorts of things can I customize, and what do I want to focus on to get the highest ROI on my investment with you?
I think as far as the customization goes, that's something that definitely sets us apart. And I've rebuilt this company probably 7 times, where I was like, all right, we're starting over. Like our original websites were not very customizable.
Yep.
But it got us in the game. Now I don't know if there's much else you can do to make it more customizable. We use page builders, so that's kind of, you can build anything. I could build a website for a dog walking business if I wanted to. It doesn't matter. So we really can make anything. And I think that's something that I always wanted. I didn't want to just have, all right, here's your website, and just printing Xeroxes of websites. I wanted something that if a customer wants to, they can go absolutely nuts and customize it however they want. A lot of people don't, but they're built already very nice, so you don't have to, but they have the option to tailor it however they'd like.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of, as we launch new sites for new clients, like it doesn't take much for customization. It's pulling in the review feeds. It's a welcome video, maybe a different background. You start showing your team, maybe pulling your social feeds, all those little things take what, any of our existing layouts, and they almost become their own thing with very little upfront effort from the originator or the company. I think one of the nice things too, and you'll know this, Michael, and let's just call it what it is. Like, loan officers should be out there originating and prospecting for loans. They're not necessarily web designers, nor, myself included, do they care to be. But that being said, there are groups that have, internal marketing people or someone on their team that's more hands-on. So the ability to cater to whatever style you or your group is, was important to us too. So, we have people that have been on the platform that probably have never been in the back end of their website ever. And then we have other people that probably wake up in the middle of the night, it's still open, and do something else to it, like the whole gamut. That just having the ability to cater to both management styles of our clients was important as well.
Yeah. So what you're saying is that, like, as a solo loan officer, maybe as I'm part of another company, but I want my own branding, or if I'm running a marketing division of a mortgage company, your platform is scalable and useful for either use case.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And so,
right.
No, you mentioned some things. You mentioned a couple like little tools, and I'd like to dive in just to sort of like how the market for websites has changed over the last, 20 years since they became kind of heavily used. You mentioned a review feed and social feeds. Those tie to sort of like social proof on the front end or sales strategies. So talk to me about like how people are using websites differently today than they used to in the past.
Sure. So you got to think about and I think this is actually very important, like the traditional sales process, and it doesn't matter how you get your business in this, even pre-internet. You get it from referrals, from referral partners, from your database, from the internet, from being on radio, TV. It doesn't really matter. Like, traditionally, the first step in any sales process is awareness. They just need to know who you are. Before people started really, I attribute this to we'll get into this in a second, but I think, the Ubers and Amazons and some of the other big, digital players really changed the behavior and the trust and how we use the internet. But, typically it's someone becomes aware of you. Then there's some form of discovery where they have to learn about you. In the traditional sales process, this usually happened like on a phone call or in a face-to-face meeting. Maybe they meet at a coffee shop or your office. And then from there, the prospect or the prospective client got to make a decision, do I trust this person? Do I feel comfortable? And then they got to make a decision whether or not they move forward. We call that conversion. So, it's like awareness, discovery, engagement, conversion. Well, in the old, traditional sales process, you really had the ability to influence the outcome of that during that discovery process, because you could build rapport with them. You can start building a relationship. You're talking, whether it's on the phone or face to face. So even if you came into a call with me, Michael, and you were like skeptical, there's a good chance that because, if as a person, if you're confident in who you are and you're trustworthy and a good person, that's going to come through in that, that initial meeting. Well, now, again, going back to all the self-service tools like Uber and Amazon, fill in the blank, there's a million of them. I think that there's been a little bit of a shift in the sales process where awareness is still the same. There's more ways to, you can now use social media and some other other avenues online to get awareness on top of all the traditional ones that still work. But instead of going into this discovery phase where me and you have a chance to meet, most people now are opting for self-discovery. So they're going, okay, I know who XYZ loan officer is because my neighbor told me about it, or my real estate agent. Let me jump online and do a quick Google search and see what they're all about. And to that self-discovery piece, if you understand how to address it it's very powerful. But if you don't address it, you're probably losing a lot of business. If someone goes online, they look you up, they don't see you, that's a red flag, right? Or they get, maybe they get to a page on your corporate site and get confused without really enough information to sink your teeth into. Or they go to your website that's really antiquated and old, and subliminally they're going, I wonder if their website's so bad, or their public presence online is so bad, what's it gonna be like to work with? Like, you don't necessarily connect that directly, but that happens subconsciously, I think. So long story short, I think the big shift is where, from discovery to self-discovery, and your prospects are making that decision whether or not to engage with you before you even have a chance to have a conversation. You may never even know, there's a cheap loss. So back to all those tools on the website. Is this making sense, first of all?
Oh yeah, it makes perfect sense.
So back to the tools on the website, it's like, what if we know that people want to go learn about you on their own? What can we do to address that in the place they're going to look for you, which is online? So they go to you, Michael Neath, loan officer, making mortgage, whatever the case may be, and they get to your website. Well, you could go back and have just a generic website like I did when I first started my company: logo, contact information, little form. That doesn't, but then the problem is that's not really saying anything about you. There's no way to, you're not going there. You're not getting out of it the same thing you got out of it if we were to meet or talk on the phone, right? So we're trying to help our clients turn their website into almost like a digital job interview. So if you can do what you used to do in a discovery meeting on your website and allow people to do it for themselves in tandem with whatever you're doing for awareness. I'm not saying a website on its own is going to make you the number one all in the country. It's just not real. But if they can go to your site and meet you, do you have video? Could be a 1 minute intro video, right? Can they see that you have other happy clients? So now we're pulling in reviews from Google, Yelp, Facebook, Zillow, to show, social proof. Are there easy ways to connect? I love the booking calendars now. We offer lead forms. So all these little things are just like building blocks of credibility and doing what you used to be able to do for yourself for you online. I think the beauty of it is that it can happen 24/7. So,
yeah, I mean, when I started in the industry, websites were, like I said, I was using that pretty ghetto to now standards website. It was maybe modern back then or whatever, but I did feel like when somebody got on the phone with me and I was able to build rapport with them, then my chances of closing or converting that customer were really high.
Yep.
Really, really high. But I don't know how many people got to me and how many people never actually got to me because of, like what you're saying, your online presence. But today, now more than ever, people are looking for that social proof and evidence that you are good at what you do, because in the reality, a loan is just a commodity.
Yep.
And every single loan officer out there is offering 30-year fixed rate conventional mortgages. And you may have a different margin than somebody else, but you're offering the same exact, you're both selling it to the same place.
Yeah.
And so, in my opinion, and this is why our platform is the way it is we call it a customer engagement platform, but it's like kind of picks up where your system leaves off. You guys are top of the funnel. How do you build the biggest entry point and then provide the customer with the information they need to feel confident so they can contact Anthony and they already know, hey, I've already vetted that they're going to use technology that serves me, that they have happy customers, that they've invested in, infrastructure. And those are the three things that, like, as a consumer myself, I know I'm looking for, but not everyone has the capacity to build those tools or make them available. As a matter of fact, most loan officers don't have the time or capacity to do that. So I think what you're building is really amazing in that way, that, You guys can sort of stand it up for them, kind of work with them to build that funnel. Now, some of the traffic that goes there can be organic, but I'm guessing that there are other ways of driving traffic into the funnel. Do you guys help with that or have suggestions on how to best drive traffic to a website?
We do some things, and Vinny's really the expert. Like we offer some SEO services, but as a whole, our core product is the website platform. So we'll do SEO as part of the website platform. We offer weekly content for your blog, more to keep the site relevant and fresh. I don't know if you've ever been to a website, and the last article was like 2 years ago. It's that kind of emotional spurs when they out of business. So we do some things. We are absolutely not a full-fledged ad agency and don't plan to be. But that being said, there are many ways you can get people to the site. And we kind of have a nice vantage point from having clients all over the country in all different markets, all different business types and strategies. And the one thing that I think Vinny would agree with, because we talk about this a lot, is the most successful clients we have, one, their website is, as far as like getting utility out of the website, it's part of their sales process. It's like, hey, go to my website and download my app. Go to my website and sign up for HomeBot. Go to my website and watch this video. There's other things that are happening. They're pushing them there to do something else to engage with them. But the most successful people that we see have some sort of value proposition that they're out in the market with. So for some examples would be, we have a client in Vegas that just went all in on TikTok. We'll just use that one because that's kind of like the new platform, so to speak. He's just creating educational content, helpful, valuable content over and over again. And I mean, the first 2 months we launched the site with him, he had a couple hundred leads. I think, like, if I was going to stand here and say, if you get a Vonk website, you're going to have a couple hundred leads, that's not really the case. And we joke a lot and say, having a website and doing nothing with it is like singing in the shower and expecting to become a rock star. That's just not how it works. But people that are willing to, whether it's TikTok, we have another large originator that does, she does market updates on YouTube. She's hosting in-person events with real estate agents in her market, teaching people how to, build wealth through investment properties. That all follows back into the website to, be able to book calls with her or see some of her other content that's repurposed, see all her reviews. So to me, it doesn't really matter what you're doing as long as you're doing something up front. Certainly ads can be very beneficial too, if they're the right messages out, right? So I think sky's the limit for awareness. There's a million different ways you can do it. It's just, you got to be doing something. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. As far as like conversions, right? You guys have mentioned a few things that help drive the comfort of the consumer, but there are some other things, some design aspects, colors, the way the website's laid out. What are some best practices for loan officers who are looking at website providers, want to build a site that helps convert? Is there anything that you guys have found through testing that is like tried and true? You want to make sure that you hit these bullet points?
I mean, I build all of our sites, like all of our demo sites and, the ones that we use as an entry site. Like, this is what you're starting with. I try to keep them clean. I don't like to overload them with to make it feel like you're in a sales trap. There's some sites out there are just, give me your information. It's like, let's relax a little bit, but we want that, but we don't need to push it down your throat either. So it's keep them clean, keep them spaced out. It doesn't have to have a ton of content. People are not going to sit there and look through a bunch of photos and read paragraphs of text. So clean, easy, very easy to navigate. It has to be obviously easy to navigate on a phone as well. You do need to have calls to action, ideally on every single page, but not that it's screaming that you have to fill this out, or give me your information. So I don't know if there's a way to put that into words, but make it like little more comfortable and not just a used car lot. If that makes sense.
I got a couple of thoughts on the calls to action too, because again, the different styles, someone coming to a website from an ad or from some content you put on one of your social channels that's never talked to you before is going to be very different than someone you just got off the phone with and they're going to the site to start an application. So to me, I think, so the market, I think it's important to be able to cater to both situations. Like there's some people that, their referral partners are the majority of their business, and the sales process is like builder refers their client to the mortgage, the originator or broker or lender's website to get the process started. So in that situation, someone might be much more inclined to just fill out an application right away. But in most cases, if they haven't talked to you, I think that's kind of like to me, the breaking point, is if you haven't had a conversation with them, a full 1003 might be too big of a jump. So, things like having your app as a download, as an example, just that's relevant for today. That's a much easier like action to have them take. Book a call, fill out this form, download this. There's other things you can do. Watch this video, train, put your information in here to watch this video on how our process works or to get access to pricing. There's a lot of much more or less aggressive calls to action you can have other than just apply.
Yeah, I think generally what I've seen is like applying is about the last call to action, right? Because it's the most sensitive in nature for a consumer. Like you're asking them for their birth date, how many kids they have, what their social security number is, their address, like sensitive information. So, what like is opting in for something else? Like if there's an early stage borrower opting in or like for a newsletter or for, a home buyer's guide or something along those lines, is that an effective strategy for just trying to create contacts in your CRM or a place to stay connected to people?
It's a great question. And like, it's a little bit of a complicated answer, but I'll try to go as direct as I can. You got to put yourself in their shoes. Like a newsletter, if it becomes too general, it's like, would you do it? That's kind of how I look at it. Like, would I do that? And if the answer is no, it's, the tools to get people in are not broken. It's whatever the offer is. So if it just for a newsletter, that's a little weak.
Generic, yeah.
Yeah. But if you're like, hey, sign up to receive, market updates or, value updates on your home, like now you're like, okay, like that's something I want, like that's more enticing. Some of the downloads can be very effective. We do it with our company. They're very effective, but the information has to be relevant. Even our home buyer's guide might be too generic. It's like just too blah. If you said, hey, let me give me your email address and I'm going to go in the back end of my pricing engine and show you exactly how we break down and price loans and the margin that we take, that might be an extreme example, but I'm like, okay, they're willing to show me how they get paid. Like I already trust you more, indefinitely. I'm not saying do that, but I'm just trying to give an extreme example of something more specific.
That's sort of like the niche, right? You niche down the interest to identify that customer that you want to work with. And so are you seeing like, and I'm sure you work with some very, like you mentioned somebody who's just blowing up on TikTok and I'm sure that their content they're producing is very specific, right? This 30-second video they shot about how rate sheets work or margins work or how to, make an offer on a property or whatever it is. That's a very defined subject with a person who's looking for a particular piece of information.
Yeah.
Do you have the capacity or do you see people building specific landing pages for that niche, for any particular niche, right? Veteran, maybe it's a VA loan niche, right? Or it's you're a nurse. I do loans for nurses niche, or anything along those lines.
we see both. And maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but I see, just the ones that we review. Some people have specific landing pages for those type of niches. But what I'm seeing more and more is people are less afraid to just call what it is they specialize in right out on the homepage. It's like, I specialize in first responders. I think in the past, people, and I would hear it all the time, and maybe even think this way myself when back when I was actually on the origination side of the business. Like, I don't want to alienate anybody. If I say I focus on, veterans, like if someone's not a veteran, they're not going to do a loan for me. Well, there's also a saying like, no, when you, I don't even remember how it goes. It's something to the effect of like, you're talking to everybody, you're actually talking to no one. So I think people are getting much more comfortable with the idea of just saying what they do. And they, I don't know if you've seen anything different. That one client that I mentioned that focuses on, she's so niche. She focuses on building wealth through real estate, through helping people get investment properties. To me, that in the past could feel like I'm alienating half the market. Well, if you saw her numbers, I think she in years did more than my whole company has. You know what I mean? Like, because she's so specific and attracting people that are our ideal client.
How do you, because if you're running a marketing campaign, it's, maybe disconnected from your website, but it's out there and you're leveraging Google and Instagram and TikTok and all these other things. If you don't have a specific message for a specific target, you have no specific customer, and like, you're not going to speak to the heart of any potential borrower.
Yeah.
I've seen a couple loan officers have a lot of success, even with their niche was just like a city or a tri-county area, and they got super granular with, hey, I do loans for people in Canby, Oregon.
Yep.
Like, I live here, my kids go to school here, I know this area. If you're looking to buy a house or to get a loan in Canby, I'm your expert. Come talk mortgages with me while I flip a burger on my grill or whatever. And that's really enticing, because you've got these big online, behemoths like Rocket Mortgage touting, hey, you don't need a loan officer, right? You need this is not shooting myself in the foot, right? But you just need a mobile app.
Yes.
You need, just this. You also need somebody that you can actually talk to.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the beauty of, I think, marketing, and what you suggested that people are starting to understand is that there are riches in the niches, and you're not alienating people, you're defining who you want to work with.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's better for everybody, because you're an expert in that. So they're getting their needs met better. You don't have to work with people who don't fit your potential avatar. And it all starts with how you're filtering those people at the top of the funnel, either through your marketing and or your web presence, right? And so, like, having a website that actually allows you to do that is super, super important. So if you don't have one, we'll put some contact information for you guys in the show notes.
I'll give you one more example. We have it, back to the niche thing. We have a client in the Northeast who bought a home very young. I would argue like aggressively young, like early 20s. Great for her, right? Well, she also realized that she bought a home very young, but once she went through the process, she realized that it's doable. Even with smaller down payments or less build credit, like all the factors, all the reasons that a first-time homebuyer, especially when they're young, think, well, I can never buy a home. Well, she did it. So she kind of proved it to herself, and then was like, wait a minute, if I can do it, I'm going to go help. I'm going to make it my, mission to help other young people realize and kind of coach them into what they need to do to be able to buy their first home young. So she created a whole Facebook group around that. So her, quote unquote, top of funnel, she advertised, or she creates content on Instagram. All the people that come in that essentially aren't ready, she's reaching way up front. She puts them in a Facebook group, teaches them how to manage their finances and get ready, fix their credit, all the things that they need to do to become ready to buy their first home, in hopes that some of them will eventually raise their hand to work with her. But that process, like, it's very defined in the fact that, you know, it's like young first-time home buyers, but there's a lot of them out there. There's awesome, you know, that she's speaking to somebody, they're going to resonate. She's got a clear message. I just think it's awesome. So, and the funny thing is, when you talk to people, and I know you talk to a lot of people, I talk to a lot of originators around the country. Half of them, I'm not going to put a number, a good chunk of them don't really know what, it's like, well, what should I talk about? But if you ask a couple questions, and you can do it to yourself if you're listening, like, one, it's like, what are you interested in within like the real estate market? What are you get a couple layers into these questions. And before you know it, they've defined their own niche. Like as an example, I had someone I was talking to, was like, hey, I don't know what to talk about. And I asked him a couple of questions, like, oh, well, I actually have this other company where we've been flipping homes for the last 20 years. It's like, dude, that's like teaching people how to do that. Like, so everybody's got something, and you just have to like be a little mindful to try to mine it out.
If you approach it from that perspective too, then isn't your passion sort of like in the way you like what you enjoy doing? Like your first example was, she realized that she could buy a home, and she felt something, right? Like empowered, good. She felt like she wanted to share that information with people. Is it better to have like a mission-based business than it is to have a business that's just like, I do loans for you, and here's a loan, and here's a loan, the Oprah style of loans, just like everybody? I'm not saying that you would turn down the parents of somebody you help do a loan, as a first-time buyer. But, I mean, hey, first-time buyers, in my opinion, are probably the best possible niche, because you can build yourself into the status of a trusted advisor. They're going to understand what you're the subject matter expert, and they're going to buy houses for the next 40 years.
Yeah.
So why not? And it's funny because I think on the real estate side, you see this a lot more than in the mortgage side. There are tons of real estate agents who go like, I only sell $2 million plus houses.
Yeah.
That's my niche. They work with like CEOs and rock stars, and hey, I mean, that's an amazing niche. I go for it. If that's the kind of client you want to interact with, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love that. When it comes to, engaging with customers online, you'd mentioned, some content marketing strategies like TikTok. What if you're not comfortable with that? Are you seeing, like, do you guys help create content? Is there any other place where people can gather content and make it available? Or like, do I have to actually get on camera or write copy or do any of that stuff myself?
I think as far as like the copy goes, you don't have to write copy. And we have a service that's included with our websites where you get a blog article every week. You could literally film that and talk about that and summarize it, and that's your post, for that, day or whatever. But do you have to get on video? I think the people that are getting on video are seeing, a higher benefit. I would say, I don't know if I'd say yes, but yes. I've seen it where I look at a lot of websites, and I have clients that, I look at their Instagram feed and they're posting picture, 5 likes, 10 likes. And then they put 3 videos in a row and it's 100 likes, 150 likes, 35 comments, and they're educational style videos. And it's like, there you go, man. There's your proof right there. Like, that's what people want. They're consuming the video. Where you get that information is, or where your topics, that's, it's not as hard as you'd think, but you can look at your blog, you can use chat GP to get ideas. There's so many places to get ideas, but yeah, I think making the videos is definitely important for sure.
Did you just say chat GPT? Yeah, I kind of opened up Pandora's box in this interview.
That's you could just put in, I need 30 blog or 30 video ideas as a mortgage, loan officer, and you'll spit them right out at you. It's amazing.
Yeah, I actually just did a conversation. I had a conversation last week with a guy who's kind of like, he's not an expert. He doesn't say he's an expert, but he messes around with the AI stuff pretty significantly, and it is scary what they're doing. I'm assuming you guys are like looking at that too from a content perspective, from a website perspective. Are you doing anything with that, or looking into it, playing with it, making it a part of your system?
I just sent out, I've been playing with it quite a bit just to better understand it. It's almost like when Google came out, you just got to kind of familiarize yourself with it, or any new thing. It is, the first few times I did it, I basically treated it like Google and typed in one thing and it gave like a, boilerplate response, which was pretty cool. I didn't, maybe just even seeing it type was cool, but looking into it a little bit more and realizing that you can really prompt and drill down. I just did one. I actually sent out an email to all our, my email list of the results of one, but it started, I started with blank clear your question, and then you can just get so granular. I was doing it more about websites and loan officers, like, write this as a friend of a loan officer, describing what things on their website would be more beneficial, to help them feel comfortable. And it's unbelievable. I guess, long story short, the more specific you get and the more questions you ask, you can really take it for a wild ride. Now, for use cases, that's kind of why we're testing it. Is this helpful for loan officers? Is this helpful in our business? I think once it connects to I think the data is only up to 2021 right now, but once it connects to real-time data, it's going to be absolutely insane. I'm still trying to figure out the best use case for an originator. One might be, I want to have, to blow up their website with all relevant data about the market they serve, and just get more granular on, definitely idea generation. Is it just, can it run a business for you on its own? No, but I think it's interesting. I don't know, what's your take on it?
I'm a little scared, but I also I have a member of my team who, before COVID, it was like November 2019.
Mm-hmm.
He comes into my office and he basically goes like, listen, there's going to be a pandemic. It was like November, December. It was like early. And I'm like, okay. Like, he's like, no, I'm serious. There's going to be a pandemic. It's going to affect our economy. It's going to affect businesses. It's going to massively impact every life as you know it. And, he left the office, and I look at my co-founder and I'm like, I'm going to get my tinfoil hat out. I mean, I'm just like, this is, insane. Well, 3 months later, we're locking down, and I'm like, oh my God, everything he says for the rest of my life, I'm going to just take seriously. Right. He doesn't seem to care about it. He's just like, I'm personally like, wow, this actually changes the way the internet works. It changes the way online marketing works. It changes the way content is produced. And he's like, nah, it's still machine learning. It's not there yet. And I'm like, well, people are using it to write software. And he's like, kind of, So I don't know. Maybe I'm more scared of it than he is, but he's right about COVID. He's right about a lot of things. So I don't know.
Well, two things with that. One, I wish he worked in our office, because I went to a comic in like the beginning of March 2020 and got really sick. So missed up that. But I kind of agree with him on the fact that, like, again, you got to think about the way people consume information. Like, think about a CRM with a bunch of canned content in it going out to, LOs pumping that out, multiple LOs in the market, same content. It just becomes white noise, just generic information. Like, maybe this advent of more sophisticated information will push people to want more of the human interaction. So, more video, more real communication. So it might end up being like, fine, it's like you can use it to save time in some of your creative endeavors, but the people that use it as like a time saver and not the end all I think it would be great.
On the search side, because you guys dabble in SEO to try to help drive traffic based on keywords and stuff. But I mean, are you seeing anything on the search side that's going to help sort of, rule out any of this mass content produced through AI?
It depends. Like if the content that's coming out of there is the same for everybody, which I don't think it is, I think you can have it rewritten a bunch of times, and then you could even check it to make sure it's not the same. But if you're going to use it for SEO, I mean, you can tell it, I need you to write a page about FHA loans in San Diego. I will do that. So yeah, it's no different than, I guess, having a writer do it. You can go back and check to make sure it's accurate and all that stuff. But other ways you can use it for SEO is, one strategy that works, it's kind of an older one, but it still works, is just building even landing pages for certain cities. Like we're in San Diego, you could say, there's like smaller towns, Solana Beach, Del Mar, Cardiff, Encinitas, and Katy, all these little tiny towns that aren't so big on the maps, but you can write articles or write-ups about those areas that talk about home loans in Del Mar or home loans in Solana Beach, and add those to your website. And that just kind of, those are things that may come up in searches. So that's a good way to use it for something like that. It's, like, again, it's an older strategy, but it works,
Yeah.
The people that embrace some of the AI stuff, their okay content is just going to be a little bit better. It's like they can, with less research, they can pack in more specific details, whether it's data about certain areas. But Google specifically, I mean, with the new local listings box, that seems to be the big focus now to me. What I see.
Yeah.
Focus on your reviews. That's what I would tell people.
Yeah, for sure. So if people wanted to, let's say people want to get in touch with you guys and check out how Vonk can help them, or have a conversation with you, Anthony, I'm assuming that it'd be hard to get to Vinny, since Vinny's running the back end, right? He's
the Wizard of Vonk.
Wizard of Vonk.
Yeah, I'm in the background, and I deal with existing customers, and if they had needs that are like enterprise accounts, or like someone wants something really custom built or something like that, I step in. So I do still talk to a lot of our clients, which is awesome. But yeah, on the front sales end, it would be Anthony, unless he's off for the day.
Yeah. So basically, the best way to get in touch with us is just to go to vonkdigital.com. On there, you can even start. Let's just do this as an experiment. Start the same way with the self-discovery. There's options to watch a video demo of the platform, and then you can decide to work with us or not work with us before ever having to talk. And then you just book a call. There's a place to book calls too, and then learn a ton of information. We show demo sites, we show pricing. Our blog has some non-AI generated real content.
How do we know? I mean, I don't know.
It's true. So there's a ton of information there, but I think the two easiest ways are, once you look around and get comfortable with what we offer, booking a call with me directly. What I do on them is we look at some live client sites and kind of walk through some things that other people are doing. And then we go into all the other stuff that we know the calculators can provide, content. You get to see all that too. But if you're not ready for that, just watch the video demo.
Love it. Nice, you guys. Well, hey, appreciate your time today, and thanks for joining me for this conversation with a recovering loan officer. And good guys, good company, been around for a long while. And I'm excited to see your guys' growth in the most recent 2 years. It's been cool to watch.
Appreciate the time, Michael. Thank you.
All right, guys, take care.